Final Fantasy V is about an evil alien trying to obtain ultimate power and rule the world. Can we just do this? As most people know, we didn't get the Final Fantasy games released in order in the US. We got 1, then 4, then 6 and 7, and then 5. Which puts 5 in the very unfortunate position of being overshadowed by 2 absolute classics of the series. And when we did get it released, it wasn't even a standalone game, it was part of an anthology, which is too bad because it is a solid entry into the series. Now, if you saw my video on weird sequels, I said one of the reasons sequels can veer wildly from the original is because developers are still trying to figure out the blueprint for what their game actually is. So if you think of the first 4 games of Final Fantasy as the experiment, 5 is the result. 5 takes the best elements of the previous 4 games and wraps it up into one really good, often forgotten game. Sure, it's a traditional RPG and it's a little cutesy, a little too cutesy sometimes, but the things it does really well, and you can see the lessons that it learned from the other games. And the most obvious thing that it took from the previous games is the story. If you played 4, this is all gonna feel very familiar. The world is run on crystals, because this is Final Fantasy, and it is always crystals. But the crystals are starting to lose their power. You play Bart, an adventurer who's out adventuring when he adventures himself into a crashed meteor. There he finds Galuf, an old man with amnesia, and Princess Lena, who's gone after her father who went to investigate the Wind Crystal Temple. But when they get there, the Wind Crystal explodes, so Bart, Galuf, and Lena head off to protect the other crystals, and along the way they pick up the pirate captain Ferris and learn the world is in danger. And this is when the story is going to start to feel really familiar. There was an evil alien named X-Death, who was trying to use something called the Void to become all-powerful. Some good aliens, including Galuf, our geriatric amnesiac, sealed him away to protect the people, but now X-Death is free and it's up to us to deal with it. So yeah, we're doing aliens again. But this time the alien's a tree, so that's different. At its heart, Final Fantasy V is kind of a story about industry versus nature. See, people have figured out how to harness the power of the crystals to improve their own lives, but that's what's draining the crystals of their power and making them shatter. Bart and his team travel around the world trying to warn people, but no one's willing to give up their lifestyle, even if it means endangering the world. And then a living tree tries to murder everyone. But while the story is rehashed, it's the gameplay that's the real draw. Everything that 4 started, 5 improved. Using character animations and cutscenes to tell a story have become more elaborate and impressive. The enemy designs are amazing. The musical score is more epic. Characters have more personality. They have conflict. They have interpersonal relationships that we can see grow and change throughout the story. And all the best mechanics are back. We still have the active battling system, adding some diversity and strategy to fights. Square stopped screwing with the magic system, and the job system is better than ever. Every time a crystal pops, you get new jobs. You can switch jobs on the fly, and every time you finish a battle, you get ability points that go towards earning new abilities for the job you have equipped. Earn enough points in a job, and you master it, allowing you to use those abilities no matter what job you have equipped. It gives a real sense of freedom and creativity, and lets you create some incredibly broken combinations. The Mystic Knight lets you strap black magic to a weapon, and the Ranger lets you attack 4 times in a row. Add the Ninja's ability to dual wield weapons, and you get 8 attacks at once. The Red Mage lets you dual cast, which means your white or black mage can double cast their strongest abilities, or if you're rocking a summoner, you get back-to-back summons. But the strongest job in the game is Mimic, which lets you copy the last attack for free. So if you have one team member double cast Flare, you can have an entire team of Mimics spamming Flare without using a single MP. And speaking of Flare, that's something else 5 added, optional content. The strongest white and black spells in the game, Holy and Flare, yeah, you don't need to find them. It's a side quest. There are 12 ultimate legendary weapons, each with its own side quest to unlock. You learn bard songs by playing pianos found throughout the world. There are some summons you need to track down, like Ramu and Golem. There are lots of blue magic spells you need to track down, and some of them you can only gain by using the Beastmaster's ability to control monsters and forcing your enemy to use those abilities against you. And bosses? Let's talk about optional bosses. Like I said, to get some of the optional summons, you have to beat them, like Odin and Bahamut are just straightforward tough boss battles. But some of the optional boss battles are more creative. Like, to get the Job Mimic, you have to defeat Gogo. See, when the water crystal explodes, one of the shards is out of reach. You have to come back here later to get it, but the whole place is underwater. So you have to backtrack through the entire tower in 7 minutes before you run out of air. And at the end of that tower is Gogo. Because Gogo is a mimic, he mimics everything you do. So if you attack with a physical or magical attack, he responds with emphasis. So the way you beat him is by doing nothing. You just wait, and eventually he'll give up and you earn the Job Mimic. And then there's Omega. I hate Omega. I think he's the only enemy that you actually see on the open world. He's just standing there in the interdimensional rift, which is one of the last areas you go to in the game. It shows up right after a save point, which should have been my first clue, but I charged in anyway. See, Omega is one of the few enemies that's over level 100. It can dodge nearly any attack, inflict basically any status ailment, and take your party down to single-digit health with one attack. In my hubris, I slammed my head against this particular wall several times, each time thinking I came up with just the perfect pre-fight preparation, just to be proven very, very wrong. And then I did what any self-respecting hero would do. I walked around him. Like I said, optional. But not all the enemies in this game are absolute nightmares. Like I said, 5 also brought back the comedy from 4. Maybe a little too much. When I said 5 expanded on the animations to show character emotion, well, they also cranked up the visual gags, which is cute and funny for a while, but it starts to wear towards the end. 5 also brought back some gag enemies. Gilgamesh is Exdeath's main lackey. Fight him several times throughout the game, each time he runs off and each time he comes back with more arms for reasons. Eventually, Exdeath banishes him to the interdimensional rift, and when you run into him there, not only does he seem to want to be buddies, but he actually helps you out. He sacrifices himself to help take down one of the bosses. And Gilgamesh comes out of the rift to make an appearance in later games like 8 and 14. But it's not all lighthearted fun. Following in 4's footsteps, our forgetful alien team member also goes down in a blaze of glory. Though, unlike Tella, Gelaf is immediately replaced with Krill, who doesn't have nearly as much of a developed character or backstory or connection to our team, and basically just picks up an item and gains all of Gelaf's abilities, which kind of robs the moment of a lot of its gravity, but I also feel like that's one of the ways 5 differs from 4. 4 was very story-focused, and the story was heavy. There was betrayal and redemption and death and sacrifice. Yeah, there were moments of levity, but for the most part, it took itself pretty seriously. While 5, for the most part, has a more lighthearted tone. We don't have a main character with a dark past they're trying to overcome. We don't have children sacrificing themselves for the greater good. The characters here are more wholesome, they get along, they look out for each other. There are more jokes and attempts at humor. The story is similar, but the tone is completely different. Another alien menace, another world in danger, another set of crystals, but where the story lacks, the mechanics shine. The humor keeps it from ever reaching the emotional heights of 4, but the job system feels ahead of its time. Proof that even when your big bad is an evil tree, great mechanics can carry a game. And with 5 done, all that's left of the Pixel remasters is my favorite game of all time, and I can't wait. See you next time.